Sauta Hadate is an ugly loner with a strange ability. He can see flags above people's heads that show events that could happen to them, whether they are good or bad. Because of this, he usually stays away from others, believing that his power is more of a burden. He thinks that if people get too close to him, they might experience bad luck. One day, while Sauta is walking along a busy street, he sees a short girl with blonde hair standing with a group of people. Suddenly, a truck loses control and heads straight toward them. The crowd gasps in fear, but just in time, the truck swerves away and crashes into some parked cars instead of hitting anyone. Among the crowd, the blonde girl notices a boy who looks calm and doesn't seem worried at all about the accident. She sees that he is wearing the same uniform as her school and wonders if she will see him again. Later that day, her question is answered when the boy introduces himself as a new student in her class. His name is Hadate Sauta. The girl is surprised to see him and stands up quickly, but then feels embarrassed when everyone looks at her. She sits back down, her cheeks turning bright red. Throughout the day, Sauta tries to talk to different students, hoping to make friends, but most of them ignore him. They either think he is odd or find it hard to connect with him because he seems shy. Meanwhile, the blonde girl, whose name is Nanami, keeps watching Sauta. She feels that there is something different about him and is curious to learn more. Despite the way others treat him, she senses that there is more to Sauta than meets the eye. Finally, Nanami decides to confront Sauta about his strange presence during the truck accident and how it felt like he somehow changed the course of events. Sauta hesitates but then explains his ability to see flags over people's heads, warning him about potential dangers they might face. He explains that he tries to avoid close connections because of this, believing his powers bring misfortune to those around him. Nanami, however, insists he doesn't have to be alone just because of his abilities, encouraging him to open up a little. She introduces herself as Nanami and invites him to join her for lunch. During lunch, Sauta and Nanami decide to go to a quiet garden area to eat, but Sauta suddenly remembers that he forgot to bring his lunch. Just then, a cheerful and quirky girl named Akane pops out from behind some bushes. She shyly introduces herself and asks if she can join them. Nanami tells Sauta that Akane comes from the rich Mahaugasawa family, and Akane reveals that Nanami is actually a princess from a small country in Europe. Sauta feels a bit unsure about making friends with Akane, but when he sees a friendship flag above her head, he decides to give it a chance. After classes are over, Sauta and Nanami walk out of school together, but Akane runs after them, calling out to Sauta. When he asks her why she wants to be friends, Akane says he looks like a lost kitten who needs help. Although Sauta feels a bit shy about this, Akane invites herself to visit his home as a friendly gesture. He hesitates but eventually agrees and leads them to an old, abandoned house where he lives. Even though the place is in bad shape, he feels thankful to have somewhere to stay. However, both girls are clearly surprised and shocked by how rundown the house looks. Despite this, Akane seems determined to befriend Sauta, and Nanami watches with interest, curious about how their friendship will develop. As they carefully walk on the squeaky floors and look at the broken walls, they finally arrive at Sauta's small room. For Akane, this is the first time she has ever entered a friend's room, and she feels a mix of nerves and excitement. While Sauta steps into the bathroom for a moment, Nanami takes the chance to give Akane a warning about getting too close to him. Akane then shares her feelings with Nanami about a friend she lost when she was younger. She explains that her regret over that loss drives her to want to support Sauta and be there for him, hoping to make up for her past mistakes. Just as they are about to leave the house, Akane suddenly remembers that she left something behind in Sauta's room. While Nanami and Sauta wait outside, he notices a death flag appear above Akane's head. Feeling anxious, he quickly rushes back inside and finds her just in time to see her about to fall from the second floor. Realizing he must do something to break the flag and save her, Sauta acts on impulse and kisses her. This unexpected kiss changes the death flag into a romance flag. Akane is taken by surprise and blushes deeply, yelling in shock. Not knowing how to respond to the situation, Nanami playfully gives Sauta a light kick, adding to the surprising turn of events. The atmosphere is filled with a mix of confusion and excitement as they navigate this new development in their friendship. Sauta opens his eyes to see the wide ocean from the deck of the ship. He thinks, "I should do the Titanic pose." Just as he is about to relax and enjoy the moment, he spots a girl's silhouette and realizes it's his sister. This is a surprising twist, and she immediately starts giving him orders, but Sauta just wants to chill and enjoy the view. While he blinks, a cap suddenly flies onto his face. When he takes it off, he sees a girl named Sakura standing right in front of him. Thankfully, she's not the Sakura from Naruto. She invites him to come into the classroom and suggests they play a game together. Sauta greets his friend Nanami, but instead of replying nicely, she calls him a creep for kissing Akane without asking earlier that morning. Suddenly, there is a loud crash, and a girl bursts in, grabbing everyone's attention. It turns out to be Kakuno, who has been Sauda's friend since they were little kids, back when he wore diapers and did silly things. Kakuno runs up to Sauda and hugs him tightly, treating him like she used to when they were younger. The rest of the class watches in shock at the scene unfolding before them. Kakuno explains that she missed Sauda's first day at school because she had been sick and had to repeat a grade. She shares that she had studied abroad the year before, making her return even more exciting for everyone involved. The atmosphere is filled with a mix of surprise and joy as they reconnect. The four friends decide to go to Sauda's house because Kakuno wants to see where he lives. When they get there, Kakuno is surprised to see that the house is in really bad shape. She mistakenly thinks that Nanami and Akane are Sauda's girlfriends. On the train ride back from Sauda's house, Nanami asks Kakuno about the flag she is wearing on her head. Kakuno explains that it is a sisterly love flag, which means she cares for Sauda as a friend. She tries to take the flag off, but it changes shape and sticks to her. At school, they all join the tea club, which is an after-school activity they decide to do together. In the club room, they meet Tsumugi, an older student who is said to have been at the school even before it was built. Tsumugi is a bit unusual but very wise. They ask her for help in finding Sauda a better room in the school dormitory so he can have a comfortable place to live during the school year. However, Tsumugi refuses, saying that their request is too simple to fulfill. In response, they decide to call Momori, the student council president. She bursts into the room wearing full armor, like a brave warrior from another world. Momori introduces herself as the hero of the situation, comparing herself to someone like Mother Teresa, ready to help in any way she can. The group feels hopeful with her on their side. The arrival of all these new characters is part of the plan to fix up Sauda's house. They bring in workers from the Academy's engineering team, along with some classmates, to help with the renovations. After the work is done, Sauda discovers that his house has been transformed into a male dormitory. However, he finds out that he must live with 4 other people, or else the dormitory will be torn down. An elder talks to Sauda and explains that the kindness he has received is not something he needs to repay. Instead, it comes from goodwill, and he should accept it without feeling like he owes anyone anything. To everyone's surprise, Akane offers to stay in the dormitory along with Kakuno, another classmate named Megumu, who is often mistaken for a girl because of his pretty looks, also decides to join them. He chooses to stay because he feels that Sauda is the first person who has ever treated him like a man. Nanami also agrees to stay, but only if they all share Sauda's room for the night since it is the only room that has furniture. This arrangement makes them all feel more connected and supportive of each other. The group is excited about the new living situation and looks forward to making their time together in the dormitory enjoyable. They hope to create a fun and friendly environment as they navigate their new lives together. After a long day of work, the girls decide to take a bath, leaving Sauda and Megumu alone in the room. Megumu, being a bit mischievous, suggests they secretly watch the girls in the bath. Sauda quickly reminds him that a real man doesn't stoop that low. Later, when Sauda follows Megumu into another room, he discovers a treasure box with a death flag attached. Inside, there's a letter that brings back memories of Sakura and the promise they had made. Just then, Akane suddenly jumps on top of Sauda, mistaking him for someone else, which causes chaos in the room. Nanami walks in and joins the argument, questioning Akane about how she got into Sauda's room. Akane admits that Kakuno gave her a spare key, using her older sister's privileges. Just then, something moves under the blanket. It's Megumu, who had snuck into the room after going to the bathroom. Now, all 4 of them are in Sauda's room, much to Kakuno's delight, as her plan has worked perfectly. The next morning, Kakuno invites everyone to breakfast, and Akane believes that everything Kakuno does is for Sauda's happiness. Suddenly, there's a loud noise outside, and a helicopter flies by their window. The helicopter drops a large package on their lawn, which they rush to open. Inside, they find a female robot with long white hair and a maid outfit. She introduces herself as Ruri, their new robot assistant for the Quest dormitory. As they try to welcome her, her head falls off, rolling toward them, causing everyone to scream in fear. After fixing her head back on, they continue with their day and head off to school. During break time, they gather on the school rooftop to watch announcements through Ruri's projector. They learn about an upcoming week-long athletic carnival, organized by the student council president. The team with the best record will be named MVP. Kakuno and the others are excited about the competition, but Sauda can't help but recall a past event that he can't quite understand. Later, the student council president approaches them and reveals that there are rumors of the Quest dormitory being closed down due to jealousy and complaints from other dormitories. The president has made a deal with them. If the Quest dormitory's team wins the athletic carnival, the dormitory will be saved. If they lose, Sauda will be expelled, and the dormitory will be demolished. To help the team win, Rin, a classmate from the second year, joins their group. She has an anti-men flag on her head, and she's known for her intense training. Rin wakes up before 6 a.m. every day to run and build muscle. While the other girls take breaks from training, Sauda struggles to keep up with her and is scolded for being weak. Rin pushes him even harder, hoping to turn him into a strong man. As they rest by the lake, Sauda confesses that he's not used to being part of a team, as he has been alone for most of his life. Rin shares that he reminds her of her childhood friend, someone she used to care about deeply. Sauda, feeling embarrassed, can't help but feel a bit uncomfortable being called Sauda by someone else, but he is determined to keep going for his friends and the team. The following day, Sauda and his friends decide to put their all into becoming the MVP team for the Quest Dorm. Rin takes the lead in explaining how the carnival works to Sauda, who is still new to this kind of team activity. She emphasizes that the carnival's games revolve around teamwork and that winning as many games as possible throughout the week is essential to securing the MVP title. To make the best of their skills, each team member chooses activities suited to their individual strength. The first game kicks off with Akane in the lead, starting a relay race, while Megumu is set to compete in the 100-meter sprint for boys. However, once again, Ruri mistakes Megumu for a girl due to his delicate appearance, creating some laughs and confusion. The student council then formally opens the ceremony, with the elder Tsumugi giving a nostalgic speech about how this carnival has changed since her early days. Surprisingly, there's even a teacher's massage event, which benefits the teachers more than anyone else. It feels more like a free spa day than an actual competition. Nanami excels in a princess competition, which earns her Rin's praise. Her grace and elegance make her the only truly qualified contestant, and she wins easily. Sauda also performs well in a penalty shootout competition, showcasing an unexpected talent for reading the flags over the goal, letting him predict where the ball will go, almost like he's a seasoned goalkeeper. His quick thinking impresses the crowd, as they hadn't expected him to do so well. Megumu draws a huge audience as he effortlessly wins his track race, and Akane, after winning her horse riding event, even offers Sauda a ride. Although he declines, the others playfully force him onto the horse, transporting him to his next event on Akane's horse. The day is busy, but the Quest Dorm team is gaining momentum, and with every game, they get closer to their goal. On the second to last day of the carnival, the team gathers in the Quest Dorm's kitchen to strategize for the remaining events. They focus on building their friendship and supporting each other, strengthening their bonds along the way. During a quiet moment, Sauda steps away to an unlit corner of the dorm, where he finds a sink and coughs uncontrollably. He realizes how much he's begun to settle into this relaxed life, almost escaping the troubles he's been running from. Just then, Ruri, their robot friend, appears and reveals her observation about how Sauda's presence is impacting the girls. She mentions that they are emotionally attached to him and that he might be unintentionally lowering their self-confidence by constantly being in turmoil. Sauda feels conflicted. Part of him wants to give up and distance himself, fearing that his presence could eventually hurt his friends. However, he decides to open up to Ruri instead, sharing a painful secret. He is living under the shadow of an impending death, something he's been too scared to tell anyone else. He confesses his fear of leaving his friends behind and the sorrow he would cause them when he's gone. Despite the happy memories they're creating together, he worries about the lasting sadness his departure might bring them. His emotions weigh heavily on him, but Ruri listens patiently, showing that although she's not human, she can still provide some comfort. As they talk in the garden, Sauda remembers a letter he had found in an old treasure box earlier. The memory resurfaces now, and he realizes that it might hold the key to understanding his fate and finding peace with whatever comes next. This letter may not change his destiny, but it strengthens his resolve to make the most of his time with his friends. With newfound courage, he returns to his team, more determined than ever to enjoy every remaining moment and help them secure the MVP title. One day, Sauda speaks a few words, and to his surprise, Sakura suddenly activates, initiating a pre-programmed code that sends him spiraling back into his memories. He finds himself in a version of the Quest Dorm from the past, facing a valiant knight who bears a striking resemblance to Nanami. The knight addresses him as a king, revealing that he once commanded a powerful team, including a magician who looks just like Akane and a ninja with Ruri's features. This intense flashback provides a glimpse into a life he may have lived long ago. Just as quickly, Sauda is pulled back to the present, with Ruri the robot by his side. The following day, Sauda and his team arrive at the tournament finals, their last chance to win. Victory here would allow them to advance to the final teamwork activity, their ultimate goal. However, Sauda is deeply distracted, his mind lingering on the confusing memories of his supposed past, where he was a king with loyal allies. Unable to stay focused, Sauda struggles to guard their base properly, which results in them only securing second place. Frustrated by his performance, he realizes how important it is to keep his team's morale high. Determined to make up for his earlier slip, Sauda spends the day talking to all the girls on his team, encouraging and uplifting them with words of motivation. As he speaks to each one, he begins to recall more about the memories that surfaced the night before. He realizes that Sakura was subtly pushing him to uncover the mysteries of his world and search for the truth. The quest dorm, his memories suggest, may hold answers about who he is and the purpose of his strange powers, so he feels he must remain there. When it's finally time for the teamwork relay, everyone gives their best effort in each leg of the race. Despite all their preparation, however, a crisis strikes at the most critical moment. Nanami stumbles and falls, injuring herself just a few steps away from the finish line. Without hesitating, Sauta rushes over, lifts her up in his arms, and sprints toward the end. Although they cross the finish line, they only secure second place, leaving the team somewhat disappointed. But as they wait for the final results, an unexpected announcement is made. The tournament administrator had observed their incredible display of teamwork and resilience. Moved by their unity, the judges decide to award the MVP title to Sauta's team, regardless of the points they earn. The entire group is overjoyed by this unexpected victory, and they celebrate together, feeling more connected than ever. Their journey together has taught them the true power of friendship and teamwork, and the team realizes that they've gained something much more valuable than just a trophy. One day, while Sauta is looking for something in the quest dormitory, he's suddenly surrounded by a group of excited girls, all eager to spend time with him. Megumu, leading the charge, is especially loud and full of energy. It turns out Akane made a deal that if they won the MVP title, she'd get someone on one time with Sauta. Hearing this, the other girls also wanted their turn. After a lively debate, they agree to divide the day, so each girl can have some alone time with him. Nanami and Ruri, however, choose not to participate. Ruri has other plans, while Nanami insists that she'd rather stay in the dormitory. Later, Nanami enters Sauta's room, repeatedly telling him she doesn't want to go on a date with him. Sauta says he understands, though he senses she's hiding her real feelings. As she turns to leave, a piece of paper falls from her clothes, revealing her secret desire for a special cake. She keeps denying her interest, but Sauta can tell she truly wants the cake. Sauta's first outing is with Megumu, who's determined to prove he's manly. They go to play the claw machine game, aiming to win a cute stuffed toy. Megumu tries hard but can't manage to grab a single toy. Seeing Megumu's frustrated expression, Sauta steps up and successfully wins a bear with a special flag attached to it. In gratitude, Megumu treats him to an enormous ice cream platter, daring them both to finish it in one gulp as a sign of their manly friendship. The next day, Sauta spends time with Akane. She takes him to a peaceful lake where they rent a small boat. As they row around, Akane reveals that her father suggested the lake as a date spot, adding that many couples end up breaking up there. However, since they aren't a couple, Akane jokes that they don't have to worry about breaking up and says they'll stay close as friends. But as the conversation deepens, she hints that she's open to the idea of becoming a couple someday. Trying to lighten the mood, she stands up, nearly tipping the boat, but Sauta catches her just in time. As they sit on a riverside bench, Rin joins them, bringing old childhood photos. These photos bring back sweet memories, especially one where they both did silly, brave things as kids. Rin blushes as she recalls these moments. After this nostalgic time, Sauta walks Rin back to the dormitory, where they meet Kikuno, and the three of them spend time in Rin's room. During their conversation, they talk about an item that Sauta gave Rin when she lost a younger sibling, which now holds special meaning for her. Meanwhile, back in the lounge, Nanami waits, hoping someone will surprise her with the cake she had hinted at earlier. Unfortunately, no one seems to notice, and she feels let down. Later that evening, Sauta quietly leaves a paper bag on her door with the cake inside, keeping his promise despite her earlier protests. That night, Ruri visits Sauta and tells him about a mysterious underground area hidden within the dormitory. Intrigued, they go to explore together, finding walls covered in old drawings depicting characters like a knight, magician, healer, and ninja. Suddenly, a bright light appears, leading them to a path in the forest surrounding the dormitory. Before heading into the forest, Sauta asks Ruri to keep an eye on the girls. Following the light into the forest, Sauta encounters a mysterious girl with white hair. She seems to know him well and even appears to understand his death flag. Her cryptic words only deepen the mystery surrounding his past and future, leaving Sauta with more questions than answers as he contemplates the hidden meanings of his journey. One day, a mysterious girl approaches Sauta and introduces herself as Number Zero. She explains that she is part of a group called the Seven Virtues, which aims to heal humanity from various illnesses. Soon after, they all meet in a large hall where another person, a masked woman who also calls herself Number Zero, orders an investigation into Sauta's unusual behavior. She is very curious about how Sauta has the special ability to see his own death flag and manage to avoid it, which is both rare and dangerous. To keep track of him, she sends a white-haired boy named Ma, who has similar powers to break these flags. For the first time, Sauta feels like he has proof that he is not alone in having this strange ability. As time goes on, an announcement is made about an upcoming camping trip that includes both a beach camp and a forest camp. Two of Sauda's friends encourage him to go to both camps. However, the student council president is worried about Sauda's swimming skills and insists that he should join the beach camp to practice. Because of this, Sauda ends up planning to participate in both camps. He feels a mix of excitement and nervousness about the adventure ahead. This camping trip could be a great opportunity for him to bond with his friends and maybe even discover more about his unique abilities while enjoying the outdoors. On the first day of camp, Sauda and his friends arrive at the beach, excited for the adventure. Akane is eager to jump into the waves but is guided to her place in the forest camp by Kikuno and Rin. Meanwhile, Sauda stays at the beach with his friends Megumu, Minami, and Tsumugi. However, he feels nervous about going into the water. As he stands at the edge, unsure of himself, Tsumugi playfully pushes him in. As soon as he hits the water, Sauda feels overwhelmed. The waves bring back old memories and a strong sense of fear. He starts to panic and struggles to stay calm. Ruri and the others notice that Sauda is having a hard time and suspect it might be linked to a past event involving his premium Ambriel. Tsumugi, who didn't know about Sauda's struggles before, learns from the others about his fears. She decides to help him get used to the water slowly. She stays by his side and encourages him, trying to make him feel more comfortable. Even with her support, Sauda finds it hard to completely overcome his fear. After a while, he feels exhausted and decides to take a break. Disappointed in himself, he sits alone under a tree, feeling frustrated and discouraged. While Sauda sits alone under the tree, a girl with bright red hair and a funny-looking farmer's hat walks up to him. She offers him a drink and introduces herself as Kirumiko. Sauda suddenly remembers receiving a letter from someone with that name before. Curious, he asks her if she is working part-time at the camp, but she gets shy and quickly leaves. The next day, there is an announcement that the campers at the beach and in the forest will switch places to try something new. This surprise means Sauda goes back to the beach with his friends Kikuno, Rin, and Akane. While his friends happily play in the water, Sauda stays on the sand, watching them have fun from a distance. Suddenly, Kirumiko comes back, this time selling ice cream pops to the campers. They have a short chat, and Sauda starts to feel more at ease around her. Just then, Akane asks him to help her get a cucumber wedge that got stuck between her food items. After he helps her, they decide to buy all of Kirumiko's ice cream and share it with the other campers, making the day even more enjoyable for everyone. In the middle of a fun moment, Akane gets lost in her thoughts and starts to remember her childhood friend, who used to be just as shy as Kirumiko. She feels a deep concern for Kirumiko, the young girl selling ice cream, who seems lonely and out of place among the other campers. Later, while everyone is relaxing at the camp, Kirumiko shyly opens up about her feelings. She shares her worries about not fitting in and feeling like she doesn't belong with the group. Seeing her distress, Sauda decides to take a walk with her to help. As they stroll together, Kirumiko begins to feel more comfortable and starts to share her thoughts. She thanks Sauda for being so kind and mentions that she wants to thank Akane one day as well. In a touching moment, she asks Sauda if they could think of each other as siblings. As she says this, a death flag appears above her head, showing the struggle she feels inside. She quietly wishes for a real family connection and, with tears in her eyes, asks Sauda if she could be his honorary sister, hoping that they both make it through their difficult situation safely. This moment brings them closer, and Sauda feels a strong bond forming as they share their hopes and fears. Suddenly, Kirumiko invites Sauda to a hidden cave nearby, saying it's her special place. Once inside, she reveals that she knew who he was before they even met, recognizing him due to his unique abilities. Sauda initially wonders if she holds a grudge against him because of his link to the mysterious premium Ambriel. But Kirumiko reassures him, saying her true wish is to make amends for the actions of her parents, who are somehow connected to his past. As they get ready to leave the cave, the tide suddenly rises, trapping them inside. Kirumiko feels a wave of guilt wash over her, blaming herself for getting them into this situation. She thinks that her death flag is becoming more real, and she is scared that something bad might happen. With tears in her eyes, she begs Sauda, hoping they can escape together, and asks if they could really be siblings if they make it out alive. At that moment, Sauda makes a strong decision. He wants to protect her, so he chooses to break the death flag that hangs over her, promising to be her real brother instead. This heartfelt promise brings Kirumiko a sense of relief and happiness, and she starts to embrace the idea of having a family-like connection. Afterward, Sauda and Kirumiko manage to return to Hatagaya Academy safely. He introduces her to his group of friends, which helps to completely remove her death flag and turns it into a positive story flag. Just when things seem to be looking up, they spot a dark, shadowy figure running toward them from the beach. It turns out to be Ruri, who has come to help them. With her assistance, they safely make it back to shore, feeling stronger than ever because of their new sibling bond. This experience brings them closer together, and they realize the importance of having each other in their lives. As they reunite with the others, a new girl with short orange hair appears, standing on the beach with the wind swirling around her. This girl brings with her an air of mystery, leaving Sauta curious about what new adventure awaits him next. In his mind, he's already wondering how this new connection might impact his journey, and whether it will lead him closer to discovering the truth about his unusual powers and the people around him. Megumu, who is usually seen in casual boyish outfits, is now dressed in girl clothes, thanks to his sisters insisting on it. During this, Sauta shares his plan to act as Kirimiko's big brother to make her feel welcome and supported. Tsumugi, overhearing this conversation, reaches out to the student council president, Momori, who happens to be the granddaughter of Hatagaya Academy's chairwoman. They request Momori's help in persuading her grandmother to allow Kirimiko to enroll at the academy. Though Momori is initially hesitant, Tsumugi, another friend, playfully suggests that Sauta could take Momori on a date as a way of showing gratitude for her help. The next day, Momori puts on a beautiful white dress, hoping to impress Sauta because she sees herself as his ideal partner. They spend time together by a calm stream in the forest, enjoying each other's presence. Sauta feels relaxed around her, especially since Momori's feelings for him are not obvious or easy to guess. While they talk, Momori remembers her brother's advice to live life to the fullest. She hugs Sauta and promises to support his happiness in any way she can. During this moment, Sauta notices a small flag-like symbol floating above her head that says, "I love you." He becomes curious, wondering if this is a sign of her feelings for him. When they go back to school, Momori works hard to help Kirimiko join the academy. However, despite her best efforts, the school officials end up rejecting Kirimiko's request to transfer. This news breaks Sauta's heart, and he has to tell Kirimiko about the disappointing decision. They part ways sadly as she goes back to her home at the Quest dormitory, feeling the weight of their separation. The situation leaves both of them feeling down, but they hold on to hope for the future. Meanwhile, the other girls chat about the recent beach trip, and they're surprised to see Kirimiko at the academy soon after, in the company of Mei, a mysterious white-haired girl. Mei reveals that she manipulated the school's data to allow Kirimiko's enrollment despite the administration's earlier decision. The student council is also present, and they announce that they, too, will be staying in the dormitory, making things feel more connected and unified. When Mei and Sauta find a moment to be alone, Mei starts talking about something called flags in the Council of Virtues. She praises Sauta for the good influence he has had on other people. Mei tells him that his kind actions have changed many lives for the better, even saving people like Akane and herself from terrible fates. Because of his kindness, he has made new friends and helped create a brighter future for those around him. But then, things take a sudden turn for the worse. While they are chatting, Sauta accidentally triggers his own death flag. This makes him feel an intense sense of dread, and he starts to cough up blood, showing that something is seriously wrong. For the first time, Sauta understands that although he can change the paths of others, his own fate seems fixed and unable to be changed. Mei sees the danger in this situation and quickly tries to erase his death flag. She does everything she can to stop it from becoming real. She feels his fear and the heavy presence of death that surrounds him, but despite her best efforts, the death flag does not disappear. This moment is filled with tension and uncertainty, as both Mei and Sauta realize how fragile life can be and how difficult it is to fight against fate. They share a deep concern for what might happen next. As Mei pushes herself to her limits, a powerful being named Sakura, who is called the Sacrament Soul, suddenly appears to help. Sakura uses her special powers to wipe away Mei's memories of the Council of Virtues, the flags, and everything related to her understanding of how fate can be changed. When Mei regains consciousness, her mind is completely empty of the ideas she used to know so well. Later on, Sauta tries to ask her about the Council of Virtues and the flags, hoping she might remember something that could help him. However, because Sakura has erased her memories, Mei can't recall any details about these strange forces. The strong bond they once had, built around their shared knowledge of fate and destiny, has now faded into a distant memory. Mei finds it difficult to grasp any information that could assist Sauta, leaving both of them in a state of confusion. They are now filled with more questions than answers, and the connection that once brought them together feels lost. With Mei unable to provide insight, Sauta is left to ponder the mysteries of fate alone, unsure of what to do next. On a scorching summer day, Sauta relaxes on Kakuno's lap, dozing off while she pampers him as if he were her beloved boyfriend. Kakuno fusses over him, almost treating him like a fragile doll, which annoys Rin. She interrupts, reprimanding Kakuno for spoiling him too much, warning that he'll become helpless and lose all independence. Taking Rin's criticism to heart, Sauta playfully invites her to join him for a nap, complete with cool popsicles to beat the heat. They chat about how quiet the dorm has become since most of the girls left for the summer. Their conversation drifts to Mei, who, after losing her memories of the 7 virtues and the mysterious flags, has become more gentle and softer in personality, and perhaps in other ways too. Suddenly, they're startled by a loud swoosh overhead as a huge shadow looms over them. Ruri, equipped with high-tech jet wings, lands in front of them, quickly grabbing Sauda and whisking him into the air. She explains that she overheard Akane expressing a desire to see Sauda and decided to bring him to her without delay. They soon land at Akane's luxurious estate, where Ruri explains why she brought him. Meanwhile, back at the dorm, Kakuno informs the other girls, who also want to join. Soon, all the girls, except Nanami, who's still in her home country, and Momori, who went back to her family, gather at Akane's estate. At the estate, Akane's butler welcomes them warmly, treating them to a lavish dinner with exquisite dishes. Afterward, Sauda takes a dip in the large, elegant bath. While he's relaxing, someone enters the bath area. Thinking it might be Megumu wanting to chat, he glances over, only to see that it's actually Rin, entirely undressed and blushing. Caught off guard, they both hide in the water, embarrassed but also enjoying the peaceful moment together. Not long after, other girls decide to join them, turning the bath into a crowded space. Sauda quickly hides behind a large decorative stone as Rin distracts the others by taking a call from Nanami. Back in her country, Nanami is upset, playfully scolding everyone for leaving her out, before the video call abruptly ends. The next day, the group sets out to visit Nanami's homeland, the Kingdom of Bladefield. Upon arrival, Nanami greets them excitedly at the airport and welcomes them with open arms. To surprise her, they toss a huge pillow with Sauda's picture printed on it, much to her amusement. Once reunited, they all board a train heading to Bladefield's central region, known as Twin Blade. During the 3-hour ride, they marvel at the beautiful countryside, and Mei explains that the kingdom is known for its dairy and wine production. Suddenly, a tiny, miniaturized version of Ruri pops out of Akane's back, explaining that her usual body is being repaired, so she's using this smaller version for now, laughing about how portable she's become. After a few hours, Sauda steps out of the train car to stretch his legs and encounters an unfamiliar face, a girl with an air of royalty. She introduces herself as Hakua Berserker Bladefield, the 14th princess of the kingdom. Intrigued by Japanese culture and especially ninjas, she eagerly chats with Sauda as they walk back to his train car. Soon after, Nanami finds Sauda and curiously asks what he's up to, while Ruri discreetly attaches a tracking device to him to ensure they don't lose track of him again. Nanami formally greets the young princess, but keeps her conversation with Sauda quiet so Hakua doesn't overhear. As they continue their journey, chaos suddenly erupts when Hakua's bodyguards are ambushed by a mysterious assassin, who looks almost identical to Ruri's normal form. This assassin, a new European model specifically designed for stealth and combat, is relentless in her pursuit. As the group scrambles to escape, they end up detaching the last train car to distance themselves from the threat. Although the assassin was clearly there to harm Hakua, the group successfully manages to evade her. Just as they're cornered, a masked figure appears out of nowhere, defending them and helping them escape. In the midst of this tense escape, Sauda experiences something extraordinary. His ability to see and alter flags now expands. He can sense new options and strategies to handle dangerous situations. With this newfound power, he quickly devises a plan to outsmart the assassin. It's as if he's gaining a deeper mastery over his abilities, unlocking more potential than he'd ever imagined. Nanami, bewildered by everything, asks what they should do next, now that they're stranded without a train. Sauda sighs, playfully suggesting they start walking and see where the journey takes them, all while feeling the weight of his growing power and responsibility. In a later flashback, a sad and mystical story unfolds. Long ago, a kingdom known for its peace was thrown into darkness. A powerful goddess in the heavens, seeing the despair of her people, transferred her strength to a young boy who was near death, turning him into a royal flag, a symbol with the power to alter the kingdom's fate. Yet, as the land struggled against the shadows, brave souls rose to defend it. Knights, magicians, bishops, and ninjas fought at the first gate, sacrificing their lives to protect the flag. Further along, at the second gate, a fierce protector became cursed, dedicating herself to guard the flag. At the third gate, a queen was separated from the remaining heroes as they sought to escape with the flag, determined to save what was left of their world. As the flashback ends, we see Sauda, Nanami, and Hakua exploring a quiet part of the kingdom. Hakua, unused to ordinary things, finds herself mesmerized by simple sights, especially the beautiful fountain where they decide to rest. Curious about their next steps, Sauda asks Nanami what they should do. Nanami tells him that the Council of the Seven Virtues has taken it upon themselves to ensure everyone's safety, even though the Council's main focus isn't them. She also quietly shares a secret, that the king's time is nearly over, so his guards are working urgently to gather all the royal family members for a final meeting with him. Soon after, men in green robes approach them, led by a girl with bright yellow hair. These people have come to escort the princesses back to the castle. At the same moment, the girls from the train rush over to Sauta, clearly relieved to see him safe. Some are emotional and hug him tightly, though none are so overwhelmed as to accidentally tear his clothes. They notice Hakua standing next to him, clinging to his arm. Nanami introduces Hakua to the rest of the group, and they all make their way safely back to the castle. When they arrive, Crown Prince Ilia greets them warmly and thanks Sauta for protecting his sisters. Nanami and Hakua share a heartfelt embrace with their brother, expressing their joy to be reunited. Later, all the girls gather in Sauta's room, having been assigned their own rooms nearby. Hakua, thrilled by the new experiences, eagerly explores the room and watches television for the first time. Suddenly, the channel switches to a live broadcast, where Prince Ilia is holding a conference. To everyone's shock, he reveals that the 13th and 14th princesses, Nanami and Hakua, are not children of the late king but the rightful heirs to the throne. This revelation explains why other members of the royal family may have tried to harm them. Hearing the sad news of her father's passing, Hakua is visibly affected. She goes outside to get some air, wearing a strained smile as she tries to reassure everyone to enjoy the celebrations following the mourning period. Despite her words, it's clear she is overwhelmed by grief and confusion. During the festivities, she tries to distract herself by joining in, but she can't hold back her emotions and eventually breaks down. She feels even more lost when she notices that Sauta and Megumu are being mistaken for a bride and groom, which only adds to her sadness. Unable to hide her pain any longer, Hakua finally opens up to Sauta, sharing how hard it is to act happy while her heart feels broken. She expresses her sorrow over losing her father and asks for guidance, hoping Sauta can understand. She knows he often has a serious outlook on life and assumes he may have experienced similar feelings. As she talks, she even mentions seeing a frustrating, annoying girl flag above her head, which Sauta finds amusing. He gently advises her to smile and focus on the happy memories, reminding her that her grandfather would want her to be joyful rather than burdened with sadness. Slowly, Hakua starts to open up to the other girls. Touched by her story and her love for Sauta, they welcome her warmly and embrace her as one of their own. Nanami quietly thanks Sauta for helping her sister, feeling grateful that he could offer comfort when it was most needed. Later that night, as the group prepares to leave the kingdom the next day, Sauta wanders out to the fountain, sitting there under the night sky. He gazes at the stars, lost in thought. A faint, torn flag flashes in his mind. He notices a stone near him engraved with strange writing, resembling a fairy tale. Curious, he tries to decipher it but struggles with the ancient text. Just then, Number 0 appears beside him, surprising him with her presence. She starts telling him about the story on the stone, hinting that it might mirror his own life. Intrigued, Sauta asks if everything he's done up until now has been worthwhile, wondering if his actions truly made a difference. Number 0 listens thoughtfully before responding with her own question, asking if he loves or hates the world he lives in. Leaving him with this thought-provoking question, she walks away mysteriously, disappearing into the darkness, leaving Sauta to ponder her words and the path he will choose next. As Sauta walks through the dormitory, memories of a darker past flood his mind. He recalls moments when others wanted him gone, times when life felt almost unbearable. But tonight, those painful memories seem to melt away as he heads towards her room. His thoughts shift to seeing her again, and he feels a sense of peace. It's the end of summer, night has fallen, and he can hear soft laughter in the distance. Just as he reaches his door, there's a knock. He opens it to find Hakua smiling brightly at him. However, something strange happens. He's taken aback, realizing he doesn't recognize her at first, even though her face seems familiar. The next morning, classes begin. Hakua is now a student at Hatagaya Academy, joining her sister, Megumu, and Sauta in Class 1 Fahrenheit. Her classmates are instantly charmed by her cuteness, wondering if she might be an actual princess. The atmosphere shifts to one of excitement and awe as Hakua easily adjusts to her new school life, blending in well with the students around her. Meanwhile, Megumu and Sauta discuss Hakua's unexpected popularity. She then approaches Sauta, asking him to sign endorsement forms for the upcoming Miss Hatagaya Academy pageant. This year, every girl from Quest Dormitory wants to join the pageant, but they only agree if Sauta endorses their participation. Even Megumu, usually shy, decides to join in. Later, Sauta gathers with Kurumiko, Tsumugi, and others around the dining table to discuss the pageant, with Kuro teasingly pointing out how happy they seem to be about Sauta's support. The class also prepares for the school festival, planning to host a unique ghost-made fried mackerel cafe booth. The girls are serious about the pageant, practicing for it alongside their festival duties. The next day, Hakua and Megumu try on their maid costumes, and Sauta compliments them on their look. Later, he approaches Nanami to ask about her pageant participation. She explains that she's joining because she doesn't want to be left out of the group and continues working hard, hammering nails and helping set up decorations. Throughout the day, Sauta moves from one group to another, lending a hand with both the pageant and festival preparations. As night falls, he finds himself unable to sleep. Gazing at his reflection in the window, he contemplates the heavy responsibility of his mission to uncover the truth of the world. His reflection reveals a death flag hovering above him, filling him with anxiety. He fears the flag could activate, undoing all his hard work and progress. Just then, Nanami comes to his door, reminding him that he left it open. She notices his worry and gently encourages him to reach out for help if he needs it, then says goodnight and leaves him alone to his thoughts. The following day, the preparations are nearly complete, and Sauta suggests taking a quick break. He and Akane, Megumu, and Nanami form a snack-buying team and set out to enjoy some light-hearted moments before the big event. As they walk together, they share a warm sense of happiness. There's something special about these small joys shared on the eve of a festival. Finally, the day of the festival arrives. Students, teachers, and visitors gather to witness the opening ceremony. Momori gives a spirited welcome speech, and the pageant begins. Hundreds of people eagerly watch as the 9 contestants from Quest Dormitory take the stage. The judges include Tsumugi, Kakuno, and even Sauta, who finds himself slightly confused but honored to be part of the panel. The contestants introduce themselves, followed by a swimsuit segment where Sauta, in a humorous twist, lightly squirts water at each of them. The pageant includes various challenges, like cooking and karaoke, with audience votes tallied afterward. In an unexpected outcome, all the girls receive the exact same number of votes. To celebrate the spirit of the event, Nanami steps forward and, in a heartfelt moment, makes a touching confession to Sauta. Her words are sincere and powerful, surprising everyone present. She shares that she wanted to give him comfort and asks him to keep going, letting him know that he's not alone. Sauta feels deeply moved, grateful to know someone cares about him. He can't hold back his emotions and silently sheds a few tears, a rare moment of vulnerability. The other girls are also touched by Nanami's words, feeling a deep bond with Sauta. Nanami ultimately wins the pageant, despite her initial lack of ambition to win anything. Her prize is a free pass to enjoy any stalls at the festival without paying. After celebrating her victory, the group roams around the festival, enjoying snacks and taking in the festive atmosphere. Eventually, they decide to check on their class's cafe booth to see how it's going. As they approach the stairs leading to the booth, a girl with long black hair suddenly jumps out and clings to Sauta, pleading with him to hide her. Sauta, Nanami, and Hakua quickly duck behind the stairs, wondering who she's hiding from and what kind of adventure awaits them next. Outside one of the classrooms, Nanami is anxiously checking to see if the fans chasing after her have finally disappeared. They had been following her, and she wondered why they were so desperate to talk to her. As soon as Nanami removes her glasses, she suddenly screams and calls out to someone named Sarika, who is none other than a famous Japanese idol. Sarika has sold over 10 million CDs and is adored by fans everywhere. Nanami is totally starstruck and completely in fangirl mode, so much so that she almost pushes Sauta out of the way just to get closer to Sarika. It's a bit of a funny scene, as poor Sauta is just trying to keep up with Nanami's excitement, and even though she's thrilled, she's a bit confused too. Why would someone as popular as Sarika be at their school during the festival, especially when her big performance is supposed to happen on the last day? Sarika, however, explains that she wanted to check out the stage and get comfortable with the venue ahead of her performance. Nanami is beyond excited to show her around and spends the entire day guiding Sarika through the school festival, trying to savor every moment with her idol. Sauta, though, is caught off guard when he realizes that Sarika could be connected to the fairy tale he had heard about earlier. Could she be the bard from the story? He quickly dismisses the thought but finds himself enjoying the time spent with Nanami and Sarika. The day goes by quickly as they try different activities, including horseback riding and tasting food from various booths at the festival. As they make their way to the area where Sarika's concert will be held, Nanami apologizes for the small space, feeling a bit self-conscious. Sarika, however, reassures her, telling her that it reminds her of her debut stage back in middle school when her classmates and teacher believed in her. Sarika shares a touching story about a special boy she met at the playground when she was younger. This boy had given her the courage to pursue her dreams, supporting her despite her doubts. He had a success flag on his head, and that memory stays with Sarika to this day. Nanami feels a mix of confusion and frustration as she tries to figure out who this boy could be, but she doesn't want to interrupt Sarika's moment. As the conversation ends, Sarika bids them farewell and invites Sauta to her concert. Later, Nanami confronts Sauta, accusing him of making strange claims. However, before the conversation escalates, Sauta suddenly opens up about a dark time in his life. He tells her about the night he had planned to end it all in the dormitory, feeling lost and alone. The girls were busy discussing their preparations for the festival, but Sauta was troubled. He begins to ask Number Zero about the strange numbers and codes he now sees floating around everyone. It turns out that his ability to see flags has evolved, and now he can perceive other hidden data and information which he couldn't see before. These numbers had always existed in the world, but normal people couldn't detect them. Only someone like him, with special powers, could see them. The rapid growth of his abilities has caused strain on the system that runs the world, but Sauda doesn't fully understand what this means just yet. Number 0 explains that the world they live in is not the only one. It is part of a parallel universe, a virtual world created by the Council of Seven Virtues to fight against a system called the Angel Boat. The Angel Boat is a cyber system that watches over the real world, but it has gone rogue, and if left unchecked, it could take control of everything. Sauda realizes that his powers are crucial in stopping the Angel Boat and saving both worlds. His abilities allow him to manipulate data, and it's his job to regain control over the system before it's too late. Still uncertain about his role, Sauda asks Number 0 why he was chosen for this mission. Number 0 answers that it was because of Sakura's sacrament, a mystical power that was transferred to him. After their encounter with this power, it was Sakura's decision to pass these abilities on to Sauda. With this new understanding, Sauda feels more determined and ready to use his powers to restore balance. As the festival comes to a close, Sauda finds himself reflecting on everything that has happened and the journey ahead. The post-festival ball is approaching, and as Sauda stands outside Quest Dormitory, he admires the beauty of the building for what could be the last time. He quietly apologizes for breaking his promises to the girls who have been waiting for their chance to dance with him tonight. In the real world, things are falling apart. 72% of the financial systems are under the control of a mysterious force called the Angel Boat, and technology is malfunctioning. This includes basic things like cell phones and even traffic lights. The Council of Seven Virtues is desperately trying to control the situation, but their power is slipping. Number 0 tells Sauda to be patient, as a weapon is on its way to fight the Angel Boat. Sauda is then transported into cyberspace, where he faces terrifying, one-eyed creatures with large, durable wings. At first, these creatures attack him, but they are quickly defeated by his death flags, powerful abilities that allow him to battle these monsters. As the creatures keep coming, Sauda continues fighting for the world he wants to protect. Meanwhile, Nanami is growing increasingly worried. She is concerned about Akane, who can no longer remember who Sauda is. When Nanami asks Akane about Sauda's absence during the ball, Akane seems confused and doesn't recall him at all. It's as if everyone has forgotten about Sauda, just as Nanami fears her own friends might forget her. Desperate for answers, Nanami asks the other girls at Quest Dormitory about Sauda, but no one seems to recognize him. She tries to open Sauda's room in the dormitory, but the girls tell her it's locked. They warn her that it's dangerous to go inside, as Akane almost died after falling from there. Omori states that no one is allowed to enter the room anymore. In cyberspace, Sauda's energy is running low from his intense battle with the Angel Boat. He collapses to his knees, but his will to fight remains strong. Just then, he hears a voice over the intercom telling him to retreat. It's Number 0, directing him to protect a place called Bladefield from the Angel Boat. Despite his exhaustion, Sauda keeps fighting for the people he loves. Meanwhile, back at the dormitory, time passes quickly, and memories of their time together begin to fade. The girls prepare to graduate and say goodbye to their beloved Quest Dormitory, which is set to be demolished. Nanami is the only one who still remembers Sauda, and she can't help but feel sad and confused about why they had all moved so far from the school. Her curiosity only grows stronger as she wonders about the mystery surrounding him. Without any hesitation, Nanami enters Sauda's room and finds a letter he had discovered in an underground treasure box. As she reads the letter, she is shocked to see that it's written in her handwriting. Before she can process this new revelation, Ruri appears and kisses her, revealing the truth about everything. Suddenly, another figure appears, looking like Nanami but with her hair styled like a princess. This is Nanami's true form, and she explains the shocking truth about Sauda. The fairy tale of Bladefield is becoming real, and Sauda is a key part of it. The Angel Boat had sparked a revolution among the Seven Virtues, the guardians of the real world's data. They saw the Angel Boat as a threat and used Sauda to defeat it, even though it put his life in danger. Nanami explains that her memories have been scattered because she tried to travel through virtual worlds in an effort to save her brother from a terrible destiny. She had followed Sauda into cyberspace, but ended up trapped in a virtual prison. Her program was later encrypted into Rina's body. Nanami had run out of power and found Rina by chance. Now that they've reunited, they are ready to synchronize and work together to save their brother. The other girls follow Nanami to Sauda's room, where Akane is crying, overwhelmed by emotions she doesn't fully understand. Nanami pleads with the girls to help save her brother and reveals the true extent of Sauda's importance to each of their lives. As they gather around the underground treasure box, memories of Sauda flood back to them. Just then, a surge of light fills the sky, and the scene shifts back to cyberspace, where Sauda continues his fierce battle. Number 0 watches with joy as the chaos unfolds. Death flags begin to appear, and Sauta wonders what is happening. Suddenly, a massive ship appears in the distance, blasting light into the sky. Everyone anticipates the arrival of the enemy. A powerful figure called Premium Ambriel also makes her appearance, far off in the distance. Sauta feels lost and unsure of what to do next. Just as he's about to give up, the girls show up as his reinforcements, ready to fight by his side. However, they are stunned, unable to speak or act as they face the overwhelming power of Sauta's blessings. Sauta is overwhelmed and doesn't know how to react, but at least he feels relieved from the danger that almost came his way. His eyes well up with tears as he sees all the girls standing by him, ready to fight for him despite everything. They are willing to risk their lives to save him, and he can't understand why they would do this for someone like him, someone who feels he has nothing left to offer in return. Akane reassures him, telling him that to each of them, he is special enough, more than enough, to make them willing to risk everything. He has brought them joy, just like how he filled Akane's heart with emotions after she felt empty from losing her best friend. Kakuno, feeling the heat of the battle, releases her red dragon and fights alongside Megumu, who uses his knives with great skill. The two of them bravely take on the Angel Boat's monsters. Even Ruri and Momori jump into the fight when they see the danger. Suddenly, a massive circle of bright yellow light appears from the Angel Boat, resembling an angel's halo. The group watches in horror as this light grows in strength, worried about the overwhelming power it holds. It reveals to Sauta the final boss flag, which turns into an angelic figure with the body of a large boat. This being, called the Entity, releases a destructive light towards them all. But Sauta, using all his strength, manages to shield himself from the harmful light. As he looks around, he sees the girls lying on the ground, unconscious and injured. His heart breaks, but he refuses to give up. With every bit of energy he has left, he tries to stop the light from attacking them. His strength begins to fade, but he calms himself and focuses. He needs to think about which death flag he can use to defeat the Angel Boat once and for all. Just as he seems like he might lose, he remembers something important. The memory of when they first met Ambriel, the person who triggered everything, flashes in his mind. It was on a sinking, burning ship, and they had to run for their lives. It was at that moment that he met a girl with long gray hair, who would eventually become an important part of their group. Sauta tries to help a man who has been trapped by falling furniture, but in doing so, he too is crushed by falling stones. The man runs away without helping him, but just as Sauta begins to lose hope, the girls come back to help him. For a moment, Sauta doubts their intentions and feels guilty, even shedding tears as the ship around them continues to fall apart. However, Laplace's demon appears and helps him realize that he has been relying solely on his death flags to fight. In reality, he does not even have one of his own. The demon explains that everyone around him has their own death flags, and if they all combine them, they can carry the burden together. Despite feeling sadness and uncertainty about his fate, Sauta agrees to this plan. He asks for all their death flags, and the demon erases everyone's memories so they will forget everything they experienced together. Now, cursed to keep fighting until the end, Sauta and the girls are finally able to defeat the Angel Boat. They restore everything back to normal. When Sauta wakes up, he is confused and doesn't know where he is. Number 0 appears and explains that they are back in the real world. She talks about how he turned down the opportunity to go to Hatagaya Academy and how he met Laplace's demon, learning about the sacrament along the way. She reveals that these beings represent virtues of self-sacrifice and bonds. Humanity, she explains, is being tested on whether it will submit to a cold, heartless system or if people can come together in unity. Number 0 then removes her mask, revealing herself to be Nanami Kagura from Bladefield. She thanks Sauta for everything he has done, and reflects on how his time spent with the girls and others in the virtual world allowed him to see the beauty of life. She reminds him that it was all a temporary experience, just like his own existence. Nanami reappears, holding a bouquet of flowers for Sauta. He returns to the Quest dormitory, where he is ready to move in and create new memories with the girls. He meets Akane, who only just met him that day as they were choosing their rooms. While exploring, Akane runs to the same spot where she had fallen and died before. This time, however, Sauta is there to catch her before she can fall, grateful for her safety. He thanks her, and the moment is so emotional that it brings tears to his eyes. Thanks for watching till this long, my fellow men of culture. Don't forget to tell us about your favorite waifu from this anime and subscribe to the channel for more content.